Hi there, it's Charles Kelly, Money Tips. On this Easter weekend, which also coincides with Passover and Ramadan, I want to ask a question. Can you be spiritual and wealthy? Right? Can you be both? Okay, now I'm going to explore this today, so stay with me. I want to talk about how to be rich and spiritual, right? Here we go. So in a world now where we are increasingly concerned about materialism, right? Everything is materialism. It's material possessions, how much can I get? Look at what I've got, all these sorts of things, borrowing to buy stuff you don't really need to impress people you don't like and all that sort of stuff. It can be easy to lose sight of what is really important. I'm not going to give you a religious sermon here, but I want to talk about money. Obviously, we all need money to be safe, secure, to be fulfilled, but it can only provide a certain sense of security and fulfillment. And you need a bit more than that to ultimately have lasting happiness and fulfillment. I've said this in my books. Money can buy you happiness. Of course we need money. There's no point in saying to someone, you don't need money. I know you're hungry, but you don't need money. No. So let's look at this. Let's explore the concept of spiritual wealth, where you can feel congruent with yourself and be wealthy, but not feel that guilt that you're not worthy because you are wealthy. And I talk about this a lot in the book, and all the misquoted sayings like money is the root of all evil, which actually comes from the biblical passage in the New Testament, which went actually something along the lines of for the love of money is the root of all evil. So grabbing for money, the love of money, just living for money alone, like Scrooge in Christmas time, that's not going to give you happiness, right? And having money to do bad things is not the way forward, right? Money can do a lot of good things as well. Now, if you want to explore this in more detail, money management, making money, becoming wealthy, I've got a webinar coming up. It will either be this Wednesday or the Wednesday after, depending on when you actually see this post. And I'll put a link up to that where I go through this 3 steps to success money management. Getting control of it, investing and building your wealth, and maintaining that consistency over the long term. And also, if you like this, do like and share and spread it around so that people can see it. Now, what is wealth, right? Wealth can be defined as an abundance of material and valuable possessions, right? It can be resources. It's commonly associated with financial resources. When you think of wealth, you think of property, gold, investments, stocks and shares, that sort of thing. But it can also refer to non-material possessions, and I'm going to read out this list here, such as health and well-being. If you're healthy and wealthy, great. That is a form of wealth in itself. Security, peace, knowledge, skills, relationships, and time. I was in a position years ago where I had a business and we were so busy that I was cash rich but time poor. I had all this cash, I could hardly spend it. I didn't have time. I cancelled holidays because I thought it would affect the business, and literally lost my money on holidays to Vegas, and I don't even want to go there. America, I lost money on holidays that were cancelled because I thought it was so important that I must be in the business. So that's not a good position to be in. But look, in broader terms, wealth can be seen as the capacity to meet one's needs, to live comfortably and a secure and fulfilling life, right? Now, Investopedia describes wealth as the value of all assets of worth owned by a person, community, company, or country, and less, and you take all of that, less the debts owed by that institution or that entity. Essentially, wealth is the resources specific people, organizations, and nations are said to be wealthy when they accumulate many valuable resources or goods. So you heard about this session, your net worth, your net wealth. That is, your total assets less your debts. So in simple terms, if you owned a property worth £100,000, but you owed a mortgage of £75,000, your net worth is £25,000, right? So that's net worth or net wealth. Now, in my opinion, we need both to be happy. It's all right saying I want to be fulfilled and I'm just going to sit here and meditate, but if you haven't got money, if you haven't got food in your belly, you can't heat your home, how can you really be happy? How can you do anything for anybody if you're not, at least have money coming in and you're not financially free and financially secure, right? So let's look at spiritual wealth first of all. What is spiritual wealth? Spiritual wealth can be defined as the abundance of inner resources that enable us to live a meaningful and purposeful life. It is wealth that is not determined alone by material possessions or external circumstances, but rather on one's inner state of being. Some of the key components are a strong sense of purpose and meaning in life, deep connection with oneself and others, a sense of inner peace and contentment, great, and a capacity for compassion, empathy, right? Empathy with people, and a commitment to personal growth and development, right? Those things are all great, but you know, you need both, and there's nothing wrong with being wealthy and spiritual. Many people have done this. They've become wealthy but led spiritual lives. They've helped others. Some of the billionaires now are giving away up to 95% of their fortunes for good causes around the world. I read about one guy that's helped a whole country in South America, in Africa, rebuild all of the wildlife that was destroyed in a civil war. Not all of it, but it went down to like the last few elephants, the last few lions. And this philanthropist has come in and spent years there building up the herds again, building up the wildlife and the vegetation, right from the insects up to the big animals there. So you can do a lot with your money that's good. This alone, right? This is neither good nor evil. The dollar bill, it's just a dollar bill. You know, you can go and spend that for good. You can do good things with it. You can do bad things with it. But that alone is not evil, and you're not evil because you have it. Maybe you've worked hard, you've built a business. You know, every religion has their own views, and I explore this more in my courses. You know, most religions will say, you know, it's okay to have wealth, but don't become so obsessed with it. That's the only thing in your life. But most religions encourage some sort of wealth and well-being. They even say it's a blessing. You know, if you think about the Old Testament in the Bible, when wealth wasn't necessarily your money, but how many sheep you had. Abraham had thousands of sheep. He was blessed by God with thousands of sheep. They didn't say he was evil because he had all these sheep and all these servants and slaves. You know, they said he was blessed because he had this wealth. King Solomon, and you know, the wealth that he had that brought people from all over the world to see him and threw riches at him. You know, these characters in the Bible were all wealthy, right? So don't think that it's evil to be wealthy like they depict on the TV. But I'm going to go through a couple of points on spiritual wealth. Now let's look at the first one. Practice mindfulness, self-awareness. This is about cultivating spiritual wealth through becoming more self-aware. Mindfulness can be being aware and paying attention to your own inner thoughts, your own feelings, your breathing. I'm not going to go through this. I'm not going to give you a breathing exercise, but it can be practiced in things like meditation, yoga, or simply taking a deep breath and being aware of your breath coming in and out, or taking a walk. Practice walking mindfulness. Now, there's people like Paul McKenna that can explain this in far greater detail than I can. But, you know, I've been on courses on this. I've practiced yoga most of my life, and it does something for you. Ray Dalio, the great investor, said that, you know, meditation is one of the key secrets and the keys to his success in life. Meditation, from a guy on Wall Street that, you know, is a billionaire investor, and he talks about meditation because he can go deeper into himself and come up with solutions that he never thought were possible. Number two is connecting with others. A component of spiritual wealth is the ability to cultivate relationships, connect with others, you know, build relationships. You need that in business. You're selling to people, not machines. I don't care how much AI you've got, you're selling to people. And by connecting with others in meaningful ways, you experience a certain sense of belonging and a purpose that contributes to the overall sense of well-being. You know, there's nothing worse than, you know, being a very rich person but living on your own with no friends. You know, I saw a documentary years ago on Paul Getty, who was the richest man in the world at that time. He lived in this huge mansion in Surrey, one of his many homes, and he looked so miserable. You know, Alan Wicker, the presenter, said, you know, you don't seem to have friends around. He said, well, when I have friends around, you know, they're not even my proper friends, and they just drink my... And he even had a phone box in his house because he didn't want people using his line to call transatlantic calls. So he had a phone box, a pay phone in his house. He said, well, people won't be embarrassed to ask to use the phone. They can just use that one. This is a billionaire, right? This is, a billionaire in the 1960s and 70s when, that went a long way. It still does now, right? But he could buy the world, this guy. So he wasn't happy, there's nothing worse than that, but not all wealthy people are like that. Most people with wealth and money are happy. They live good family lives. They are honest. They pay their taxes. They're moral. They're moral in their dealings. Otherwise, no one would deal with them, right? No one would trust them if they were not trustworthy and moral and had good characters. And as Brian Tracy once said, most of your happiness, nearly all of your happiness, comes from your relationships with other people, whether it's your family, your friends, or whatever, right? So you've got to cultivate those. And these sound a bit obvious, right? But bear with me here. Number 3 is cultivate gratitude. Obviously, we hear this a lot in things about the law of attraction. If you're grateful for what you have, you'll attract more of it. If you sit around being miserable and say, "Oh, I've got no," you're not going to attract very much. So practice gratitude by focusing on what you have rather than what you haven't got, and then you'll cultivate a sense of peace and inner peace and contentment. Now, one way of practicing this and one way of keeping a track of this is to keep a gratitude journal or just a journal. I've done this for many years, and you can write down or just contemplate on the things that have gone well that day. What have you done that's gone well? Now, you might have had a rotten day, but you can still come up with a few things that have gone well. The sun's shining, you had a walk. Yeah, you got delayed in the traffic, but at least you got home. You got home in one piece. You didn't break down. You can think about things that have gone well rather than focusing on all the bad things that you see on the news, right? Now, number 4 is practice forgiveness. Holding on to anger, resentment, bitterness can be a severe barrier to spiritual wealth and just your happiness, your health. It can make you unhealthy. It can cause a cancer inside of you if you just hang on to that bitterness. So let it go. You don't necessarily have to forgive someone for something they've done to you. You don't necessarily have to go and say, "I forgive you," and go and talk to them. You can forgive them internally. And there are lots of techniques. Again, I go back to Paul McKenna and people like Tony Robbins who've got these techniques for literally blowing away all your past bitterness and letting it sail off on a boat on fire and that sort of thing. You can do these things. It does work, believe me. So have a look at their stuff. Right, number 5 is to commit to personal growth. This is cultivating spiritual wealth requires a commitment to personal growth and sense of satisfaction. It's lasting. It's spiritual wealth that will lead to lasting happiness and fulfillment. And this is by cultivating these things, cultivating the mindfulness, connecting with others, the gratitude, the forgiveness, and committing to personal growth, a personal journey of growth in your life to get to that nirvana, that Buddhism phrase that I can't remember, where you reach enlightenment. That's the one, enlightenment. That's what you're aiming for, and that can be done through practicing through these things that we've talked about, through meditation, through prayer, whatever. Okay, and believe me, these things work. And I've spent a lot of time and money on my personal growth, and it does keep you on track. It keeps you. It makes you happy inside, knowing that you're learning something. When you're learning something new, when you're learning a new skill, you feel better about yourself, right? You do. It just does work. So never stop learning. Always keep going. Go to seminars. Go to webinars. Go on courses where you need to develop skills, and it can make you a lot happier and wealthier as well. So can you be spiritual and wealthy? Well, the answer is yes, of course you can. It's possible to be both spiritual and wealthy. Spiritual beliefs and practices do not necessarily have to conflict with financial success or material wealth, right? We all need certain things in our life. It doesn't mean you have to be a billionaire. Everyone's got a level of success that they want in their life, and the level of success that you choose will determine the commitment you need to get there. But look, there are many examples of wealthy people who have led fantastic lives, and you can do the same. You can develop these skills through meditation, prayer, and practice. Okay, now it's important to note that I don't think you should focus purely on wealth like the Scrooge we talked about. It shouldn't be the sole focus of one life. You've got to have a life, right? You've got to have a life. Yes, some people have done that. Some people have disregarded. They've had their blinkers on, disregarded everything else, their family, their friends, and just gone for it. But often that doesn't lead to a happy life. and it can lead to several breakups and marriages and relationships and all that sort of thing. It's not the way to go. But being wealthy is an opportunity to do good in your life, to do good for others, and lead a comfortable, happy, fulfilled life. So great, practice those things I talked about: the gratitude, the compassion, generosity, building relationships, and you can have spiritual wealth and financial wealth as well. So talking about financial wealth, if you need help with money, finance or debt, I know we're living in challenging times, but whether times are good, bad or indifferent, people become wealthy, some people become poor, some people just tread water. But you don't have to worry about what's going on in the external world. I want to show you how to build wealth and manage your money in whatever the circumstances are. Not only survive in a recession or a depression, but thrive in a recession or a depression. So I want to show you in 3 steps to money management: get control of your finances, build wealth over a long period, and thirdly, maintain that consistency in your life and in your wealth building and your spiritual wealth as well. 3 steps to money management. It'll be on a Wednesday near you, depending on when you're seeing this. I usually hold them on a Wednesday night, consecutive weeks, 8 p.m. UK GMT time. Check it out and check out the link in the description below, and I will see you there. So remember, happy Easter. You can be spiritually wealthy and financially wealthy at the same time, and you can be happy. Okay, bye for now. This is Charles Kelly. Have a great weekend and happy Easter, Passover, Ramadan and whatever's going on in the world. Bye for now.